good morning and welcome to Enterprise Morning right here on Enterprise Television. Your go-to source for the latest news and happenings in the country. I am Henry.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
So we're so excited to have you with us, but let's kick off this beautiful morning together, and we'll then join you also to be part of our community and have a say in what we say by subscribing to our YouTube channel and all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7, and also log on to our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. So in the beat, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines, and after that we'll be in conversation. Also, like I did say, in the studios with us to do justice to all we have is Olusegun Okunwade. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Henry. Good morning, Choma.
It's been a while.
Yeah, nice to see your face after the protest. I hope I saw you actually doing your duty.
Very true.
You know, at least to disseminate information to our viewers. Great one. Thank God for the divine protection. It's not easy to be out there doing that job.
Very true. Very true. Of course, just like we know, it's a very risky job, and but of course, news has to be passed and stories needs to be told. Of course, well, let's kickstart our newspaper headlines today. Well, the first daily we have is coming from the Vanguard newspaper. Choma.
Yeah, the big story here still on the protests. Tinubu's broadcast fell short of expectations. That is coming from the organizers, Atiku, Soyinka, PDP, NLC, others. Details are on page 5.
And also we have right below that story, the big story, that is federal government reforms have not brought promise to the renewed hope that's coming from Catholic bishops.
Yeah, moving on, IBB disowns post endorsing military rule. Details are on page 37.
And right before that story, or after that particular story, we have householders struggle to cope with galloping food prices, which stands above 30% right about now. But let's get into the IBB story here. So we have it authoritatively that former military president General Ibrahim Babangida has described as fake news claims that he is endorsing a military takeover due to the state of the nation. And it was said that this particular ex-handle #General_Ibro, in which a former president Ibrahim Babangida was alleged to have endorsed the virtues of military rule over democratic governance. In that particular statement, of course, disowned by the media aide to Ibrahim Babangida, Mahmoud Abdullahi, the dubious account carries IBB's picture, name, and the coat of arms of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for added effect, but it does not belong to him, nor does the former president sanction any post appearing there. This is, I think this should be the second time we're having this rumor, you know, of the former military president saying that he has endorsed a military takeover. But just like we have, you know, one of the oldest adage says, there's no smoke without fire. Do you agree to that submission?
Yeah, thank you very much, Henry. My reaction to that is that there are a lot of influx, or what I call impersonation, on the part of people on this social media. And it's good you try as much as possible to have a verifiable page. Even when you have, do you have all those protections to say? I'm sure you've seen instances where people are being scammed, even with people's profile. I will have this to say that someone like General Ibrahim Babangida, I've seen some of the developments that have actually occurred with this democracy, which we have actually started since 2019. I can tell you from some of the feelers we got, it was a great disappointment on his path for the nullification of June 12th. Because he felt it would have been an hero by now, possibly being the father who introduced democracy, saying some of the gains that we can assume, if not for anything, this freedom of speech that we now enjoy this day. And that's why I feel he's coming out openly to dissociate himself from the idea of saying military should take over. There are serious clamor for that, I must say, because when you look at what is happening in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Mali, in Tanzania, where the military has actually taken over, it's always the soft landing we always have at the beginning of everything. They seems to have more enjoyment. They seems to have a listening ear. But we know that it's always temporal. When you have military dictatorship, they will give you that which is needed by you at the beginning of it. When they start acting the other way, and we are reacting just the same way we are reacting to democratically elected people, I'm sure you and I will not be there, because those ones believe in gun. The next minute is that you are gunned down, or they trail you, they monitor you. In fact, you'll be afraid to say anything. That's why everyone is saying that our current leaders should be sensitive to the plight, that will not push people to say you have actually suffered the citizen, and we are only, because most of the areas where we see this military intervention is just they claim is a stopgap, and when they create the relief that an average, because see, even the current leaders, they know the problem and the hardship of the people. They are only shying away from it by doing the right thing, because you discover that well, maybe when we get to the other side, when you look at some of the things that the president said they've actually committed out in the answer, you ask, where are those things going? And that's what the military will not do. When they send 10 billion to you, Henry, as one of their representatives to take care of the citizen, the fear of the gun will not allow you to embezzle that money. But you do it rightfully.
But aren't you surprised that the biggest infrastructures we've had in Nigeria since independence was built by the military?
Yeah.
Today it's 25 years now, and we can see no significant, big, humongous infrastructure done by the democracy.
You are very much correct. We said that times to that number. We all enjoy Third Mainland Bridge today. It's the work of Ibrahim Babangida, those years that I was there. Even the Coup Bridge, name all the infrastructure. Possibly after the exit of the First Republic, when the likes of Baba Awolowo built Cocoa House, Nnamdi Azikiwe did those rubber plantations in the east and the likes, every democratically elected leader, not even 1999, even 1979 during Shagari, we have not seen the massive infrastructure being built by the military. And you see, it's what they give to you at the short term. If today the military takes over, they know the problem of an average citizen, and they use the first 2 years that we always are, act this, even the first 2-3 years, to persevere the citizen and give them what they want. When you talked about, remember when the last president was the chairman of PTF. You saw the massive infrastructure in terms of road, universities, polytechnics, lot of infrastructure were pumped in. Until now, that is what most of those institutions are still riding on.
Yeah, very true.
Now, okay, from this your analysis, now we've seen that on a scale of 1 to 100, the impact of the military regime is still evident and is still felt by Nigerians even for the last 25 years. Now, don't you think that this person in question that is disguising and actually putting out this is not in a way trying to sow seeds and let people know that you think it's preferable for Nigerians to have 2 years or 3 years of impact than having 18-20 years without impact?
Yeah, well, I won't say he's sowing the seed. Everybody knows that. You see, on short term, military, whatever, it's always good. But on the long run, because of the freedom of speech on our path, we discover that when the military are there, we sing their praises for the first 1 to 3 years, and they put those infrastructure. I would say that if the military can add air, because you see, when you get to position of leadership, I will always tell you one funny thing, that it's always sweet. You won't want to leave. I would have said that if we have intervention on the part of the military for a few years to bring in, I can tell you that if you allow the military to take over today, our infrastructure, the 4 of them, within 3 years will come upstream. That I can say authoritatively, because we've seen some of the things that they have done. But the freedom of speech, you and I are free to speak against the government. We won't be able to do that. We will be caged. But people will tell you, I think we are better, because even people that are doing this japa to other country will tell you that they don't mind to do the menial job and live that quality life expected of one, than to have the freedom we claim to have in this country and be impoverished as an individual. And that's why we always speak to these leaders. They know what to do. It is just the atmosphere of not them having accountability of some of these things that is actually the problem.
All right, let's quickly, just for the want of time, let's just quickly move on to the Daily Independent here. And the big story here says Tinubu draws flag after broadcast on hashtag and bad governance protest.
Okay, moving on the bottom strip of the Daily Independent newspaper, you have grounding of Eric Air Fleet spells doom for aviation sector, coming from experts.
All right, we equally have on the top strip of the same newspaper, bank chairman, CEOs are divided over federal government's forex windfall tax.
Okay, moving on, protests Sarah to Commonwealth hold federal government to account for attacks on journalists. And
we have an image here on the Daily Independent. That's Governor Mba and the Minister of Works, Umahi. And the story there is Enugu government approves 18.3 billion naira for 141 urban roads, 20 rural roads also. So let's take a look at the forex. Of course, the bank chairman, CEOs are divided over federal government forex windfall tax. Break it down for us, please.
Yeah, I read about the move by the Ministry of Finance and thus fiscal policy, saying some of the gains that we've had from the forex gain by the banks will definitely be taxed 50% as against it. And some of us have come to say that on its own might need to be stiffening that sector. I don't know why most of the time we shy. We run to quickly explore an avenue that we consider that is juicy, not allowing that particular sector to survive. This set of people, when you look at their accounts, have certain amount they've actually segregated out for SMEs. How many of it are we monitoring that the SMEs are actually having it? They have the windfall. They've had their crisis before now. If you ask me, you know the number of financial houses we used to have before now, before it was consolidated to 25. Yeah. And as we speak, because of the capital base, a lot of them are still struggling to meet up. You heard about them coming for public offers and the likes. I don't think it's enough for government, and it's not only applicable to financial institutions. We look at an area that is very viable, very profitable, rather than if this windfall is there, can we have an atmosphere where we allow them to increase their CSR? Because this individuals organization seems to ride on those CSR as their own contribution to the common man, rather than you asking that you want to take it, because every of these revenue that is actually being absorbed by the government, how many of it do we make use of judiciously for the benefit of the citizen? Where we are today, if you look at the borrowing, as at 2015, it was about 12.12 trillion. As at today, it's about 121 trillion. Ask yourself, all the borrowing, all the increase in revenue to government coffers, what impact has it created in the life of an average citizen in the country? And that's why we keep saying that there are specific individuals, organizations, that they contribute to the bottom line, much more than what the government is doing. Why do we go ahead to stiffen them? We should create, relax that atmosphere, because we keep saying it. When you grow businesses in the country, you are empowering the people the more. By the time you tax the windfall and there are crises in the financial institution, you will see them laying off staff. What becomes of them in the nearest future? But
the anger actually here is the fact that in spite of the windfall, Nigerians are not seeing benefits, from them. You talked about CSR. How many of these financial institutions really carry on genuine CSRs.
They do. And you see, one thing I keep telling every individual that care to listen in this country is that we lack monitoring. So even the current administration we're talking about, if you listen to what Mr. President read, I asked myself, I don't think we are poor in this country. A lot of billions have actually been dished out, but it has not impacted an average citizen in terms of palliative, in terms of sharing of money. I keep asking, amidst us, are we telling me that we don't have indigent people, that we can make mention of that they have collected the transfer that is being done to people, 50,000 here and there? How many people have collected a pound of the rice that you and I, that we keep talking about? So rather than dishing out some of this thing, can we use this investment? We are going back to what we told them when they said subsidy is gone. A lot of those money that were pushed to the state should have been used in building infrastructure. And that's what we lack. Nobody monitors the activity. The banks will say, okay, we declare this much profit after tax. How much of that? Fine. Certain number must actually be given to the stakeholders of the organization, of which we, the citizen, are part of it. So people, you see, the agencies responsible for monitoring some of these activities across board are really not doing what they are supposed to do. And that's why people can tell you, we've invested 20 billion in this particular thing as an organization, as part of our CSR. And you will not be able to speak to it because corruption has cut across everywhere. So, but when you monitor things and you know that people are actually watching, they can actually speak to that thing. Not the people that you have actually mobilized to say, take this 50,000 and go on here and be saying that you benefited from this thing, and that will be the only time. Look at the one that the government did. A lot of civil servants said the 6-month 35,000 allowance was only paid for 2 months, and after that they stopped. So these are issues that we don't have the monitoring mechanism. That's why we keep advocating for a system that is transparent and can account on its own activities that are going on. Then we can monitor things to see how we are actually having the growth that is expected. A lot is going into the banking sector, but very little is actually, and what they are doing is that the government is chopping their own. Maybe to chop it down.
Let's get to the last daily on our decks, and that's the Guardian newspaper. The front page here, national broadcast. Outrage over rush of old policies threats failure to soothe protesters.
And also we have a protester, 52 billion naira worth of looting, a setback to entrepreneurs and investments.
And moving on, import duty effects rises to over 1.6 naira, that's $1, despite Tinubu's pledges.
And also livestock ministry must end open grazing conflict. And lastly, we have a council autonomy, or your chairman pull out of Algon to form a new association. And so let's take a look at this. Council autonomy, or your chairman pull out of Algon to form new association. When we have a duplication of such sort of associations, are we really, moving to a great destination? A rolling stone, like gotta know moist.
It's still part of what we're saying. Everybody is looking for an area that will favor them. I'm sure they are pulling out of Algon because they are not getting that specific control that is expected of them. Don't forget that at the time in this country, we have a parallel association calling themselves, I can't remember the name them for NLC, even the Labour Congress. There was a parallel association formed, whether it's been sponsored or not. So you discover that the greed in every of our leaders leads us nowhere. So if you are pulling out of the Algon, that you all unitedly come together as a nation to form, I think it's Association of Local Government of Nigeria. So what becomes of you when you now form your own? So you have a divided house that will continue. Now that the government is actually concentrating on local government to give the dividend of democracy to the grassroots, you're already seeing division because of individual gain and personality. You see, everything we've been saying is about the indiscipline on the part of an individual, considering the fact that the windfall will soon come on local government too now. And when it comes, they don't want a situation where people will cage them, just the same way we have actually been doing. So when you now have parallel association being formed, you start fighting yourself and leaving the people that you are supposed to serve. And that will be another area. You see, we have a lot of distraction, and it's intentional on the part of some of our leaders, because when you are divided, it gives them the opportunity to carry on those things that you, because by the time you want to address people, you'll be facing those other ones. They will say, how come we say we are not aware? They will dissociate them. This ones will say we are doing things to make sure that we do, and nobody will be able to query them. It goes back to, they will fulfill that obligation before they come upstream to say they are actually dividing and coming out of Algon. They must have fulfilled, I can tell you, more than 70% of what it will take them to form that association before they come out boldly to say they are pulling out. They are already saying the green light, and they always tell you it's freedom of association. We are with you today, we can decide to form extra, but what is the motive behind it? What's about individual greed that we have actually been talking about?
Well, if you talk about the motive behind it, just like we know as humans, it could be possible that the governor is not doing what they want him to do at the end of the day. And of course, just like human beings are not not meant to be partitioned.
But I will tell you that forming another association will not actually change the status of things. All we do is that if you don't have divided house, you have less people to concentrate on. Possibly you feel that those are the power that be, that you need to give listening here and relegate the other people. But we can speak in unionism, in unity of purpose, and be able to take the government, heads on in fulfilling that which they have actually promised to the citizens.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So lastly, talking about unity of purpose and bringing the government to actually answer to the people, would that ever happen? Because Nigerians are already giving up on the government actually listening to them and doing what they're supposed to do.
I love the aspect where you say Nigeria are already given up. Yeah. By the time you see, when people now leave you to do whatever you like, at the time you see yourself alone, OYO, maybe because we are talking of your state issue, you become OYO and you'll be afraid of yourself. Do you know that if you are with certain set of people and they decide to just keep you, operating on your own without anything, you'll be scared that am I safe? They are pushing people to that level because now people are agitating, they are speaking. When they leave you to carry out on your own, you'll be afraid to come in the midst of the people because it is you alone against several. And coming in the midst of those people, it will become a problem. They have actually pushed people to do, because if you look at the last protest, except for few areas where there were disruption, people came out peacefully, and people are the ones that are actually protecting the individuals. Say, no, we don't need to attack government infrastructure. We don't need to go this route. Let's stay within the confines of the area where they've actually asked us to be, and make sure that we express our grievances to government and go. And that's why you saw the success the first day. It's getting to that area that it is the citizen that will checkmate the activity of even people that are being sponsored by the government against them. Because every attack on government infrastructure always boils back to the suffering of the people. The NSAS that happen, they're supposed to have invested more in buying buses. But if they invest more in buying those buses, they are not adding to the fleet, but they are filling the gap of what they have done. And that's why people are saying, please, even when they push you out there, don't go that route of using government infrastructure. Just go ahead to maintain peace and pass your message the way it is.
Very true. Well, that's about the time we have actually for this segment of our show today. And I'd love to say thank you to Olusegun Okwandi for being part of our show.
Thank you for
making sense of it, of course. And we'll still have a lot to bring to you, Chema.
Yeah, when we return, protesters reject Tinubu's speech, vow to continue until the demands are met. Do stay tuned.